The morning started like any other Tuesday. Lisa Chen walked through the automatic doors of Kennedy Airport, pulling her small suitcase behind her. She wore her favorite pair of jeans, the comfortable ones with the little tear near the pocket that she refused to throw away. Her sweater was simple, navy blue, nothing fancy. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she carried a canvas tote bag over her shoulder. To anyone looking at her, she was just another traveler heading somewhere. But Lisa had a first-class ticket to London tucked in that canvas bag. She'd booked it herself 3 weeks ago using her maiden name, the one she still used for travel. It was her little way of keeping some privacy in a life that had become unexpectedly public. The airport was busy that morning. Families rushed past with crying babies. Business travelers barked into their phones. The smell of coffee and pastries drifted from nearby shops. Lisa didn't mind the chaos. She actually enjoyed airports. There was something exciting about them. All those people going to different places, starting new adventures. She checked the departure board and headed toward Gate 47. Her flight was boarding in 40 minutes. Plenty of time. She stopped at a small cafe and bought a coffee, chatting briefly with the barista about the weather. It was supposed to rain in London. Lisa didn't mind. She liked the rain. When she reached Gate 47, there was already a line forming. The gate agent, a woman in her 40s with sharp features and perfectly styled hair, was checking boarding passes. Her name tag read Patricia. Next to her stood another agent, younger, who seemed to be in training. Lisa waited her turn, sipping her coffee. The man in front of her, wearing an expensive suit and gleaming watch, was waved through with a smile. The woman after him, dressed in designer clothes with matching luggage, received the same warm treatment. Then it was Lisa's turn. She stepped forward and handed over her boarding pass and passport. Patricia took them, glanced at the boarding pass, then looked up at Lisa. Her expression changed. The professional smile disappeared, replaced by something else. Suspicion. First class? Patricia said, her voice loud enough that several people nearby turned to look. Yes, Lisa replied, keeping her voice calm and friendly. Patricia studied the boarding pass more carefully now, turning it over, holding it up to the light. And you purchased this ticket yourself? Lisa felt a small knot form in her stomach. Yes, I did. Is something wrong? Where did you buy this ticket? Patricia asked, her tone growing sharper. Online. Through your airline's website. About 3 weeks ago. The younger agent leaned over to look at the ticket. Patricia pointed to something on her computer screen, and they both stared at it, then at Lisa, then back at the screen. Ma'am, this is a $12,000 ticket, Patricia said, her voice carrying across the gate area. Several passengers waiting in line behind Lisa stopped their conversations. Everyone was listening now. Lisa felt her cheeks getting warm. Yes, I know. I bought it. Do you have a credit card? The one you used to purchase this? Lisa pulled out her wallet and handed over her card. Patricia examined it like it might be fake. She swiped it through a reader, waited, then frowned. The name on your passport is Lisa Chen. But this ticket was purchased by... Patricia squinted at her screen. There's one with the last name Rodriguez. That's my married name, Lisa explained quietly. I use my maiden name for travel sometimes. It's legal. You can check. Patricia's expression said she didn't believe a word of it. She picked up her phone and spoke to someone, her eyes never leaving Lisa. I need a supervisor at Gate 47. Possible ticket fraud. Lisa's heart started beating faster. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside, Patricia said, gesturing to the side of the counter. Let me help the other passengers while we sort this out. But my ticket is valid, Lisa protested, trying to keep her voice steady. I have my ID, my credit card, everything matches. Step aside, please. Patricia's voice was firm now, brooking no argument. Lisa moved to the side, her face burning. Behind her, she could hear whispers. A man muttered something about people trying to scam the system. A woman told her companion, I don't know how she thought she'd get away with it. The line kept moving. More first-class passengers boarded. A teenager in ripped jeans and a hoodie walked right through with his boarding pass. An elderly man in a tracksuit was welcomed aboard with a warm smile. But Lisa stood there waiting, feeling smaller with each passing minute. 10 minutes went by. Then 15. A security officer arrived, a tall man with a stern face and crossed arms. His badge identified him as Derek Walsh. Patricia explained the situation in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear. She kept using words like suspicious and fraudulent and questionable. Derek looked Lisa up and down, his gaze judgmental. "Ma'am, do you have any other identification?" "I showed her my passport and my credit card," Lisa said, trying not to let her frustration show. "What else do you need?" "Well, you have to understand, this is a very expensive ticket," Derek said, as if explaining something to a child. "We have to verify these things." "I understand that, but I've shown you everything. The name on my credit card matches the purchase. My passport is valid. What exactly is the problem?" Derek and Patricia exchanged looks. Patricia leaned closer to Derek and whispered something. He nodded. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me," Derek said. "We need to verify this ticket before we can let you board." "The flight boards in 20 minutes, Lisa pointed out, her voice cracking slightly. "Where are we going?" "Just to the security office. It won't take long if everything checks out." But Lisa knew what this was really about. It wasn't about her ticket or her ID or her credit card. It was about her jeans, her simple sweater, her canvas bag. It was about the fact that she didn't look like what they thought a first-class passenger should look like. She thought about the man in the expensive suit who'd walked right through, the woman with the designer luggage who'd been welcomed with a smile. Even the teenager in the hoodie had boarded without a second glance. Around her, passengers whispered and stared. Some looked sympathetic, but most looked suspicious, like Patricia and Derek did. Like she was trying to pull something. Like she didn't belong. Lisa felt tears pricking at her eyes, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not in front of all these people. Instead, she took a deep breath and made a decision. "I need to make a phone call first," she said quietly. "Ma'am, you can make calls after we verify your ticket," Derek replied. "No," Lisa said, her voice firmer now. "I'm making a call now. You can watch me if you want, but I'm calling my husband." Patricia actually laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Your husband?" "Yes, my husband." Lisa pulled out her phone with shaking hands. She scrolled through her contacts and found the name she needed. Michael. Her thumb hovered over the call button for just a moment. She hated doing this. She hated using his name, his position, his power to solve her problems. That wasn't who she was. That wasn't how she wanted to live. But standing there, humiliated in front of dozens of strangers, being treated like a criminal for the crime of wearing jeans, she didn't know what else to do. She pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. Then his familiar voice answered, warm and concerned. "Hey, love. Everything okay? Aren't you supposed to be boarding?" Lisa's voice came out smaller than she intended. "Michael, I need your help. They won't let me board the plane." Michael Rodriguez was in the middle of explaining a complex software integration when his phone buzzed. Normally, he'd ignore it during a board meeting. His executive team was discussing a major product launch, and millions of dollars hung on the decisions being made in that room. But the phone was his personal line, and only a handful of people had that number. He glanced at the screen. Lisa. She should have been boarding her flight right now. Something was wrong. "Excuse me," he said, standing up from the conference table. 12 executives looked at him in surprise. Michael never interrupted meetings. "I need to take this. Continue without me for a moment." He stepped into the hallway, accepting the call. "Hey, love. Everything okay? Aren't you supposed to be boarding?" Her voice came through small and strained. "Michael, I need your help. They won't let me board the plane." His entire body tensed. "What do you mean they won't let you board?" "What's happening?" "They think my ticket is fake." He could hear her trying to keep her composure, that slight tremor she got when she was fighting back tears. The gate agent called security. "They're saying I need to go to the security office. Everyone's staring at me like I'm some kind of criminal." Michael's jaw clenched. "Did you show them your ID? Your credit card? Everything." "I showed them everything, Michael. They just don't believe that someone who looks like me belongs in first class." Those last words hit him like a punch. He'd heard that pain in her voice before, years ago. Before they'd gotten married. Before people knew who she was. She'd told him stories about being followed in expensive stores. About being ignored by salespeople. About being treated like she didn't belong in places she had every right to be. He'd hoped that had gotten better. Clearly it hadn't. "Put me on speaker," he said, his voice deadly calm. "Let me talk to whoever's in charge there." "Michael, you don't have to—" "Put me on speaker, Lisa, please." He heard shuffling, then Lisa's voice, slightly distant now. "You're on SP. Eker. This is Michael Rodriguez. Who am I speaking with?" There was a pause. Then a woman's voice, sharp and defensive. "This is Patricia Morrison, sir. I'm the lead gate agent here." "And you are?" "I'm Lisa's husband, and I'd like to know why my wife is being prevented from boarding a flight she has a valid ticket for." "Sir, we're just following protocol. This is a very expensive ticket and we need to verify." "What exactly are you verifying?" Michael interrupted. "She's shown you her passport. Her credit card. What more do you need?" "Well, sir, the names don't quite match up and we have procedures for—" "Her maiden name is Chen. Her married name is Rodriguez. She travels under her maiden name. This is completely legal and happens thousands of times every day. So again, I'm asking, what's the actual problem here?" Patricia's voice became more careful now. "Sir, I appreciate your concern, but this is a security matter. We have to be careful about ticket fraud." "Ticket fraud?" Michael's voice could have frozen fire. "Let me be very clear about something. My wife purchased that ticket 3 weeks ago using a credit card in her legal name. Everything matches. The only thing that doesn't match your expectations is how she looks. Would I be correct in saying that?" "Silence. That's what I thought," Michael continued. He put the call on hold and speed-dialed his assistant. She answered on the first ring. "Rebecca, I need you to get me the CEO of Transglobal Airlines. Right now. I don't care what he's doing. And I need you to find out the name of every employee who's currently preventing my wife from boarding Flight 447 at JFK Gate 47. Every single one. Names, positions, employee numbers. I want it in the next 5 minutes." "On it," Rebecca said, and the line clicked. Michael switched back to Lisa. "I'm still here, sweetheart. Just making some calls. Don't go anywhere with them. Stay where you are. Michael, please, you don't need to make a big thing out of this." Lisa's voice was quiet, embarrassed. "Maybe I should just take a different flight." "No." His voice was firm but gentle. "You shouldn't have to take a different flight. You have a valid ticket. You've done nothing wrong, and I'm not going to let them treat you like this." He heard a new voice, male this time. "Sir, this is Derek Walsh, Airport Security Supervisor. I'm going to have to ask you to end this call so we can properly verify your wife's ticket." "Derek Walsh," Michael repeated, memorizing the name. "Your airport security?" "That's correct, sir." "Then you should know the law. My wife has provided valid identification and a valid boarding pass. Unless you have probable cause to believe a crime has been committed, you have no legal grounds to detain her or prevent her from boarding." "Are you accusing her of a crime, Mr. Walsh?" Derek hesitated. "No, sir, but then she's free to board her flight, correct?" "Sir, we're just trying to do our jobs here. Your job is to keep the airport secure, not to discriminate against passengers based on their appearance. Now, are you going to let my wife board, or do I need to make more phone calls?" Michael's other phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. CEO's name is James Peterson. Calling him now. "Employee info coming." "Michael, it's okay," Lisa said softly. No, it's not okay." Michael ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. Not at her, never at her, but at the situation. At the fact that she had to deal with this. At the fact that her first instinct was to back down, to make herself smaller, to avoid conflict, because she'd learned that's what people expected from her. He put Rebecca's call through on his other ear. "Rebecca, I have James Peterson on hold. Ready when you are." Put him through. A smooth, professional voice came on the line. "This is James Peterson. I understand you wanted to speak with me, though I'm not sure what this is regarding." "Mr. Peterson, my name is Michael Rodriguez. Does that name mean anything to you?" There was a brief pause. Michael could almost hear the mental gears turning. "Rodriguez Technologies?" "That's right. Your airline currently has a corporate contract with my company. We spend roughly $4.5 million a year on your flights. Business class and first class for our executives and clients." "Yes, of course, Mr. Rodriguez. What can I do for you?" Peterson's voice had shifted, becoming more attentive, more careful. "Right now at Gate 47 at JFK, your employees are preventing my wife from boarding Flight 447 to London. Despite the fact that she has a valid first-class ticket, valid identification, and has done absolutely nothing wrong except fail to look like what your gate agent thinks a first-class passenger should look like. I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding, Mr. Peterson. My wife is on the phone right now, standing at your gate, being humiliated in front of dozens of people. Your gate agent called security on her for wearing jeans. Mr. Rodriguez, if you could just give me a moment to... I'm going to give you exactly 5 minutes to call whoever you need to call at JFK and fix this situation. 5 minutes. And then I'm calling my legal team, and I'm calling the press, and I'm calling every single corporate client I know who uses your airline. Do we understand each other? Yes, sir, absolutely. I'll handle this right now. The line went dead. Michael switched back to Lisa. How are you holding up? He asked, his voice soft again. Everyone's staring, she whispered. Michael, I feel like I'm going to be sick. I know, baby. I know. But it's going to be okay. Just a few more minutes. He could hear Patricia's voice in the background, still defensive, still making excuses. Then Derek's deeper voice, trying to sound authoritative. Michael wanted to reach through the phone and tell them exactly what he thought of their procedures and their security concerns. But he stayed quiet, listening, letting Lisa know he was there. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Rebecca. Peterson is calling the airport director now. Also calling the VP of customer service. He sounds panicked. Good, Michael thought. He should be panicked. Sir? Derek's voice came back on the line. Sir, I'm getting a call from my supervisor. I need to... Go ahead and take it, Michael said coolly. I'll wait. He heard Derek step away, his voice becoming muted as he talked urgently into another phone. Then Patricia's voice, sharper now, worried. What's going on? Who is he? Derek, what's happening? Michael checked his watch. 3 minutes had passed since he'd talked to Peterson. The board meeting was probably wondering where he was. $500 million in product decisions were waiting, but nothing was more important than this. Nothing was more important than Lisa. Michael, her voice was shaky, I'm right here. You didn't have to do all this. I could have just taken another flight, maybe used a different airline. Lisa, listen to me. You deserve to be treated with respect. Everyone does. This isn't about the money or the ticket or even the flight. This is about them treating you like you're less than, like you don't belong because you don't fit their narrow little idea of what successful looks like. I know, but no buts. You've worked hard your whole life. You've earned everything you have. You don't owe them an explanation, and you certainly don't owe them an apology. They owe you one. He heard new voices now, multiple people talking at once. Derek's voice had gone from authoritative to anxious. Patricia sounded defensive, and there were others, people rushing, hurried footsteps, ma'am. Mrs. Rodriguez. A new voice, male, breathless. Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm Victor Chen, the regional manager for Trans Global Airlines. I am so sorry for this misunderstanding. Victor Chen had been having a good morning until his phone rang. He was in his office at the airport reviewing schedules and drinking his third coffee of the day, when his direct line lit up with a call from corporate headquarters. Not just anyone from corporate, but James Peterson himself. The CEO, Peterson's voice had been ice. We have a situation at Gate 47. Get down there now. Fix it. I'll explain on your way. As Victor ran through the terminal, Peterson explained. A passenger named Lisa Chen Rodriguez, wife of Michael Rodriguez. Rodriguez Technologies. $8 billion. Corporate contract. Gate agent refused boarding. Security called. Discrimination, PR nightmare. Victor felt his blood pressure spike with each word. Now he stood at Gate 47 looking at the scene before him. Patricia Morrison, one of his gate agents, stood with her arms crossed, defensive. Derek Walsh from security looked like he'd swallowed something sour. And standing to the side, holding a phone, was a woman in jeans and a sweater, who looked like she wanted the floor to open up and swallow her. Mrs. Rodriguez, Victor said, catching his breath. I'm Victor Chen, the regional manager for Trans Global Airlines. I am so sorry for this misunderstanding. The woman, Lisa, looked at him with tired eyes. She held up her phone slightly. My husband is still on the line. Would you like to speak with him? Victor's stomach dropped. Michael Rodriguez was listening to everything. Right now, Mr. Rodriguez, Victor said toward the phone, trying to keep his voice steady. Sir, I want to personally apologize for how your wife has been treated. This should never have happened. You're right. It shouldn't have. The voice from the phone was calm, which somehow made it more intimidating. So explain to me how it did happen. Victor turned to Patricia. What's going on here? Patricia lifted her chin. I was following standard procedure. When I saw the first-class ticket, I had concerns about... Concerns about what? Victor interrupted. Did Mrs. Rodriguez not have proper identification? Well, yes, but... Did her boarding pass not match our records? It matched, but the names were... Different, Victor finished for her. Her maiden name versus her married name, which is completely legal and happens dozens of times every day at this airport. So again, Patricia, what was the actual concern? Patricia's face flushed. Around them, the remaining passengers waiting to board had gone completely silent, watching the scene unfold like it was a television drama. I just thought it was suspicious, Patricia said, her voice less certain now. A ticket that expensive, and she didn't look like. She stopped herself, but it was too late. The words hung in the air, unfinished but understood by everyone. She didn't look like what? Victor asked quietly. Like she could afford it? Like she belonged in first class? Is that what you were going to say? Patricia's silence was answer enough. Victor turned to Derek. And you? Your security. What crime did you witness that justified detaining a passenger with valid credentials? Derek shifted uncomfortably. I was called to assist with a potential ticket fraud situation. I was just backing up the gate agent's concerns. Did you verify those concerns? Did you actually look at her identification, her credit card, her boarding pass? Well, Patricia had already. That's not what I asked. Did you personally verify anything, or did you just assume Patricia was right because... Victor paused, looking Derek up and down. Because why exactly? Derek had no answer. Victor felt a headache forming behind his eyes. In his 15 years with the airline, he'd dealt with lost luggage, missed connections, mechanical delays, even an emergency landing. But this was something else entirely. This was going to be a disaster. He turned back to Lisa. Mrs. Rodriguez, I cannot begin to express how sorry I am. You were profiled. You were discriminated against, and there is no excuse for it. Lisa nodded slightly but said nothing. She looked exhausted. Is there anything I can do to make this right? Victor asked. We'll upgrade your ticket, provide compensation, anything. I don't want an upgrade, Lisa said quietly. I already had a first-class ticket. The ticket I paid for. The ticket I was entitled to use. Of course. Can we at least... Victor? The voice from the phone cut in. Michael Rodriguez. Let me be very clear about something. My wife is not interested in vouchers or points or whatever compensation you're about to offer. What she wants, what she deserves, is basic human dignity. The same treatment you'd give to anyone else with a valid ticket. Absolutely, sir. I completely agree. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, your employees saw a woman in casual clothes and decided she must be trying to scam the system. They didn't just question her. They humiliated her. They called security on her. They made her feel like a criminal in front of a gate full of strangers. Over jeans, Victor winced. When put like that, it sounded even worse. You're right, Mr. Rodriguez. There's no defending this. More people were arriving now. Helen Park, the airport director, rushed up with 2 airline executives Victor recognized from quarterly meetings. They'd clearly been briefed on the situation because Helen looked furious. Mrs. Rodriguez. Helen approached carefully like Lisa might bolt at any moment. I'm Helen Park, the airport director. I want to personally apologize for what's happened here today. How many people need to apologize before this is over? Lisa asked, and there was an edge to her voice now. Because I'm tired. I'm embarrassed. And I just want to go home. Home? Victor said. But your flight to London, I'm not getting on that plane, Lisa said firmly. Would you? After being treated like this? After everyone on board watched me get questioned and detained? After they all think I'm some kind of con artist? She had a point. Victor wouldn't want to board that flight either. I understand, Helen said. Let me arrange for a full refund immediately and we'll book you on any flight you'd like, anytime, any airline. I'll book my own flight, thank you, Lisa replied. She looked at her phone. Michael, I'm okay. I'm going to hang up now and get a cab home. Are you sure? I can come get you. I can be there and I'm sure. I love you. I'll see you tonight. I love you too. And Lisa, I'm proud of you. Lisa's expression softened just slightly. Thank you. She ended the call and slipped the phone into her bag. Then she looked at Victor, Helen, and the assembled airline executives. I'd like my refund processed now, please. Of course, Victor said. I'll handle it personally. If you could just come with me to the customer service desk. No. Lisa's voice was firm. I'm not going anywhere else with your employees. You can process it here, or you can mail me a check, but I'm done being escorted around this airport like I'm the problem. Victor nodded quickly. I'll have it processed immediately and confirmed via email. You should see the refund in 3 to 5 business days. Fine. Lisa picked up her suitcase and turned to leave. "Mrs. Rodriguez, wait," Patricia called out. Her voice had lost all its earlier sharpness. She looked scared now, perhaps finally realizing the gravity of what she'd done. "I'm sorry. I was just doing my job. I didn't mean to." Lisa stopped and turned back. "You weren't doing your job. Your job is to check boarding passes and help passengers board safely. Your job is not to decide who looks like they belong somewhere and who doesn't." "I didn't mean it like that," Patricia protested weakly. "Yes, you did," Lisa said calmly. "You took one look at me and made a judgment. You decided I was trying to pull something. And the worst part is, you probably don't even realize you do it. You probably do it all day, every day to people who don't have the connections or the resources to fight back." Patricia opened her mouth, then closed it again. Lisa looked at the crowd of passengers still watching. Some looked sympathetic now. Others looked uncomfortable, maybe wondering if they judged her too. A few were recording on their phones. "This happens all the time," Lisa said, her voice carrying across the gate area. "People get judged for what they're wearing, how they look, how they talk. And most of the time, there's nothing they can do about it except swallow their pride and move on. I'm lucky. I have a husband who can make phone calls and get people to pay attention. But what about everyone else? What about all the people who get treated like this and have no recourse?" The gate area was silent now. Even the airline employees had stopped moving. "I don't want Patricia fired," Lisa continued, surprising everyone, including Patricia. "I don't want Derek fired. I want them educated. I want them to understand what they did wrong. I want your entire company to take a hard look at how your employees are trained, what implicit biases they're bringing to work, and how those biases affect the people you're supposed to be serving." Helen nodded vigorously. "Yes, absolutely, we will. I promise you, Mrs. Rodriguez, this will lead to real change." "I hope so," Lisa said, "because I shouldn't have needed my husband's money and influence to be treated like a human being. Nobody should." With that, she turned and walked away, pulling her suitcase behind her. The crowd parted to let her through. Victor watched her go. A woman in jeans and a sweater who'd just taught them all a lesson they wouldn't forget. As soon as Lisa was out of sight, Helen turned to him. "My office, now, and bring them." She pointed at Patricia and Derek. The walk to Helen's office felt like a funeral march. Patricia kept trying to explain, to justify, but Helen held up her hand for silence. Derek stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched. In the office, Helen didn't sit. She stood with her arms crossed, her expression thunderous. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" she asked quietly. Somehow, that was worse than yelling. "Do you understand the liability you've created for this airport and this airline?" "I was following procedure," Patricia tried again. "Procedure?" Helen's voice rose. "Procedure is to verify identification and boarding passes. Procedure is not to racially profile passengers. Procedure is not to call security on someone because they don't fit your personal idea of what a first-class passenger looks like." "I didn't racially profile anyone," Patricia protested. "Then explain to me why you let other passengers board without question, while singling out Mrs. Rodriguez for extra scrutiny. Explain why a teenager in a hoodie walked right through while a woman with valid credentials was detained." Patricia had no answer. Helen turned to Victor. "I want incident reports from both of them within the hour. I want statements from any other employees who witnessed this. And I want recommendations for disciplinary action on my desk by end of business today." "Yes, ma'am," Victor said. "As for you two," Helen looked at Patricia and Derek, "you're suspended pending investigation. Turn in your badges and go home. HR will be in touch." Patricia's face went white. "Suspended? But I have bills, I have—" "You should have thought about that before you decided to play judge and jury with a paying customer," Helen said coldly. "Now get out of my office." The video appeared online within hours. Someone at the gate had recorded the entire confrontation on their phone, and by that evening, it was spreading across social media like wildfire. The caption read, "Billionaire's wife denied boarding for wearing jeans. Watch what happens next." Lisa saw it while she was sitting on her couch at home, still in those same jeans, nursing a cup of tea. Michael was beside her, his laptop open, his jaw tight as he read through the comments and news articles already being written about the incident. "It has 2 million views already," Michael said quietly. It's only been 4 hours." Lisa watched the video play out on her phone. There she was, looking small and tired. standing to the side of the gate while Patricia's voice carried clearly over the recording. "This is a $12,000 ticket." The person filming had captured everything. Patricia's suspicious looks, Derek's authoritative stance, the other passengers whispering and staring, and Lisa, just trying to maintain her dignity while being treated like a criminal. The comment section was exploding. "This is disgusting. They treated her like trash just because she wasn't wearing designer clothes. I've experienced this too. They see your skin color or your clothes and just assume you don't belong. Good for her husband for standing up for her. That airline should be ashamed. Why do rich people always play victim? She got on the plane eventually, didn't she?" That last comment made Lisa wince. No, actually, she hadn't gotten on the plane. But the person commenting didn't know that. "They just assumed. We should make a statement," Michael said. "Get ahead of this before the media spins it into something it's not." "What would we even say?" Lisa asked. "That I got humiliated at an airport? That's already out there. We say that this isn't about us. That this happens to people every day who don't have the resources to fight back. That it's about systemic bias in customer service." Lisa looked at her husband. He was in full business mode now, strategic and focused, but she could see the anger still simmering underneath. He'd been furious when she got home, wanting to call lawyers, wanting to sue, wanting to make sure everyone involved paid for what they'd done. She'd talked him down. Barely. "Let me think about it," she said. Her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Kevin Park from the New York Times. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions about what happened at the airport today." Lisa's eyes widened. The New York Times. "How did you get this number?" "I have my sources." "Ma'am, I've seen the video that's circulating online. Can you confirm that you were denied boarding on Transglobal Airlines Flight 447 this morning?" "I don't want to make a statement right now," Lisa said. "I understand this must be difficult, but the public has a right to know. Were you discriminated against because of your appearance?" "I said I don't want to make a statement." Lisa hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Different number. She didn't answer. It rang again, and again. "They're not going to stop," Michael said, watching her phone light up repeatedly. "The story's too big now. Wife of a billionaire gets discriminated against at an airport? That's national news." "I didn't want it to be national news," Lisa said, feeling overwhelmed. "I just wanted to get on a plane." Michael put his arm around her. "I know, but maybe some good can come from this. Maybe it'll make other companies take a hard look at how they train their employees." Lisa wasn't so sure. She'd seen this pattern before. Public outrage, promises of change, and then everything going back to normal until the next incident. Her phone buzzed with a text. It was from Helen Park, the airport director. "Mrs. Rodriguez, I wanted to inform you that we've taken immediate action regarding today's incident. The employees involved have been suspended pending a full investigation. We're also implementing new training protocols. I hope we can discuss this further. Please call me at your earliest convenience." "They suspended them," Lisa told Michael. "Good. They should be fired." "Maybe." Lisa wasn't sure how she felt about that. Yes, Patricia and Derek had treated her horribly, but she'd meant what she said at the airport about education being more important than punishment. Firing them wouldn't change their beliefs. It would just make them someone else's problem. The next morning, Lisa woke up to find herself on the front page of the business section. "Tech billionaire's wife denied first-class boarding," read the headline. The article laid out everything: her credentials, Michael's net worth, the airline's stock price dropping 2% in after-hours trading, and statements from civil rights organizations calling for an investigation. Her phone had 73 missed calls and over 200 unread messages. "This is insane," she muttered, scrolling through messages from friends, family, former colleagues, and people she hadn't talked to in years, all reaching out to express sympathy or outrage. Michael was already on a call in his office. She could hear his voice measured and firm. "That's correct. Rodriguez Technologies will be suspending our corporate contract with Transglobal Airlines effective immediately. Our employees will be booking with other carriers until we see meaningful change in their policies." Lisa felt a pang of guilt. That contract employed a lot of people. Michael came out of his office. "Those people still have jobs. They'll just be serving other customers, and maybe this will motivate the airline to actually fix their culture instead of just issuing press releases." He had a point, but Lisa still felt uncomfortable. All of this, the media coverage, the corporate pressure, her husband wielding his influence like a weapon, it felt like too much. She'd wanted an apology and maybe some policy changes. She hadn't wanted a national incident. "I'm going to do an interview," she said suddenly. Michael looked surprised. "Are you sure? The media can be, I know what they can be. But if this story is going to be everywhere anyway, I want people to hear it from me. In my own words, not filtered through some reporter who's never experienced what I experienced." "Okay," Michael said slowly. "Do you want me to have Rebecca coordinate it? We can control the narrative better if we choose the outlet. No corporate control. No handlers. Just me talking to someone who'll listen." Michael looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. "Whatever you need." "I'm here," Lisa called Helen Park back. "I want to do something. Not just for me, but for everyone who goes through this. What if we created a training program? Something real, not just a PowerPoint presentation that employees sit through and forget." Helen sounded relieved to hear from her. "Yes, absolutely. What did you have in mind?" "I don't know yet. But I know people who do, experts in implicit bias, diversity training, customer service. Let me make some calls." Over the next week, Lisa threw herself into the project. She contacted professors who studied discrimination. She reached out to civil rights organizations. She talked to other people who'd been profiled or mistreated in similar situations. And slowly a plan took shape. The airline, desperate to repair its public image, agreed to everything she proposed. Mandatory training for all customer-facing employees. Regular audits of boarding procedures. An independent review board to handle discrimination complaints. And a public commitment to transparency about incidents and outcomes. Lisa did one interview with a reporter known for thoughtful long-form journalism. She talked about the incident, yes, but she spent more time talking about the bigger picture. This wasn't about a plane ticket, she explained. It was about assumptions. The assumption that someone in jeans can't afford first class. The assumption that if something seems off, it must be fraud rather than just an unfamiliar situation. The assumption that certain people belong in certain spaces and others don't. "Do you think anything will actually change?" the reporter asked. "I don't know," Lisa admitted. "But I know it won't change if we don't try. If we just accept that this is how things are. Someone has to push back, and this time, I had the resources to do it. Next time, maybe someone else won't be so lucky." The article ran with the headline, "When Bias Meets Business Class, One Woman's Fight for Dignity in Travel." It was shared thousands of times. More importantly, it started conversations. Other people came forward with their own stories. A man who was questioned about his wheelchair being a prop. A woman who was assumed to be a nanny rather than a mother traveling with her mixed-race children. A teenager who was followed through the airport because of his dark skin. Meanwhile, Patricia Morrison sat in her living room, reading the same articles. She'd been suspended for 2 weeks now, with no word on whether she'd be fired or allowed to return to work. The uncertainty was eating at her. Her husband had stopped talking to her about it. Her friends didn't know what to say, and every time she looked at social media, there was her face, frozen in that moment of suspicion, being held up as an example of everything wrong with customer service. She'd thought she was just doing her job. She'd thought she was being careful, protecting the airline from fraud. But watching the video now, seeing herself through everyone else's eyes, she started to understand what she'd actually been doing. She'd been judging, making assumptions, seeing a woman who didn't fit her mental image of wealth and deciding that meant something was wrong. Patricia had never thought of herself as prejudiced. She voted for the right candidates. She had friends from different backgrounds. She'd always believed she treated everyone fairly. But fair treatment wasn't just about what you said or what you consciously believed. It was about the split-second decisions you made, the extra scrutiny you applied to some people and not others, the assumptions you didn't even realize you were making. Her phone rang. HR. She took a deep breath and answered. "Patricia, this is Joyce from Human Resources. We've completed our investigation and we need you to come in tomorrow for a meeting." "Am I being fired?" Patricia asked, her voice small. "We'll discuss everything tomorrow. Please be here at 9. The line went dead. Patricia looked at her reflection in the darkened TV screen. Who was she? A woman who'd been doing her job? Or a woman who'd let her biases control her actions? A victim of circumstances or someone who needed to take responsibility for the harm she'd caused? She thought about Lisa Chen Rodriguez, standing at that gate, maintaining her composure even as Patricia had publicly questioned her right to be there. She thought about the humiliation in Lisa's eyes, the way her voice had shaken when she finally stood up for herself. And for the first time, Patricia felt genuinely ashamed. The next morning, Patricia walked into the HR office with her head down. Joyce sat behind a desk flanked by Victor Chen and a man Patricia didn't recognize. "Please sit down," Joyce said. Her tone was neutral, professional, giving nothing away. Patricia sat, her hands folded in her lap. "We've reviewed the incident, spoken with witnesses, and examined our policies," Joyce began. "Patricia, your actions that day violated several company policies regarding customer service and anti-discrimination protocols." Patricia nodded. She'd expected this. "However," Joyce continued, "Mrs. Rodriguez has made a specific request regarding your case." Patricia looked up, confused. "She's asked that, instead of termination, you be required to undergo comprehensive bias training and participate in the development of new customer service protocols. She's also requested that you speak to incoming employees about what happened and what you learned from it." Patricia blinked. "She wants me to stay?" "With conditions," Victor said. "You'll be on probation for 6 months. Any similar incidents, any complaints about discrimination or bias, and you're done. No second chances. But if you're willing to put in the work, to really examine your actions and change, you can keep your job." Patricia felt tears welling up. "Why would she do that?" "You'll have to ask her yourself," Joyce said. "She's offered to meet with you if you're willing." "Yes," Patricia said immediately. "Yes, I'll meet with her. And I'll do the training, the speaking, whatever it takes. I want to do better." "I need to do better,"